Nigeria Info, it's your turn. Let's talk.
And now, Hard Facts. Hard Facts with Dowell.
Welcome back. Thanks for staying tuned. Stay Hard Fact 90.3 Nigeria Info and here in Port Harcourt. I'm Dowell. It's 8 minutes gone past 4 p.m. and discussions continue. Appreciate you staying tuned once again. And the matter we'll discuss it next has to do with the federal government's plan to tax big social media tech giants, possibly the ones that aren't even giants at the moment. It appears there's been an ongoing war, which somewhat culminated quite recently in a battle with Twitter, which led to Twitter suspension way before now. There's been talks about regulating the social media space. Now the government is talking about even taxing these organizations. Now discussions have been going on the subject matter for some time. I've had discussions on this show a couple of times in the past as well on the subject matter of leveraging on big tech, especially social media companies in the country. No doubt they're getting bigger. No doubt there are sub-Nigerians that are already leveraging on the immense potentials and possibilities that they do offer. How can the Nigerian federal government join the list of not just individuals but even countries and economies that are leveraging and already tapping into the potentials that are rife in this ever-growing and gargantuan industry? These and other related matters we're discussing in this hour. Now, story here courtesy the cable, I do believe, FG ready to tax profits made by Google, Twitter in Nigeria, says Osinbajo. Now, a quick look at the part of that story. Vice President Yemi Osinbajo says the federal government is set to tax profits made in Nigeria by global technology and digital firms not based in the country but with a significant economic presence. Lado Akande, Vice President spokesman, in a statement on Sunday, quoted Osinbajo as saying this during an interaction with a delegation of the Chartered Institute of Taxation of Nigeria. And the CITN delegates were led by Adedayo, its president. Federal government will not be raising tax rates at this time based on the Finance Act 2019. It is already empowered to widen the tax net, including by collecting taxes on the Nigerian income of global tech giants with significant economic presence here, even if they have not established an office or permanent establishment and are currently not paying taxes in Nigeria. Once again, how can the federal government leverage on the immense opportunities and potentials of the social media industry? These and other related matters we're discussing at this time. And my guest in the studio, he's featured here a couple of times, even to discuss matters related to this subject matter. I've got with me in the studio Dowell Mirin. He's an IT expert and consultant. Dowell, good evening to you. Welcome to the show.
Yeah, good evening, Dowell. And good evening to my listeners.
Great. So much to talk about. I must state that from inception, but we'll try to cram in as much as we can into this now barely an hour conversation. But let's start with the issue of even understanding how these businesses function, how these businesses work. Because I perceive that for you to be able to talk about regulating a business, for you to talk about taxing a business, or an industry more like it, for you to talk about leveraging on whatever potentials that there might be in that industry, you must first have come to terms with how these businesses or how this industry functions, with how it works. That in so doing you can then determine how you are going to go into that space. And once again, considering that these are businesses that don't even need to have one office in your entire country, and yet they are functioning, their presence is felt even to a degree way more than businesses that may be located on hectares in your country. Now, do you think that the Nigerian government has come to a state of fully understanding how this industry works? And what are the dynamics? What makes this industry even more peculiar than just about any other business on the planet?
Thank you very much. Some years back, we did discuss this particular topic extensively, where I predicted that it's going to get to a point where that this particular solution providers, all the solution providers scattered all over the world, is going to latch on the Nigerian market. To start with, the Nigerian government have not put the right framework the right ecosystem, the right technological ecosystem that does what we call aggregation. They don't have any aggregation platform in place. They don't have any data. When I talk of data, let me give you an instance. The NIN we're doing currently, okay, let me put it this way. If you travel to Dubai, the moment you get to the airport, they want to sell you a SIM, but they will ask you something. Give me your passport. Right there on your passport number is married to that particular SIM. They know when you come in, they know when you drop the line. Even if you fly, if you fly out of the country with that SIM line, which is your property, they still know where that line is all over the world, because it has been what RFID and barcoded to your passport. So each time you come, if you come to that country 10 times and you're buying 10 SIMs, they know all the SIMs you've ever used. So after a while, they do what? They erase those SIMs if it's not in use. That is data, consolidated data. Now, in this country, the NCC, when you talk about taxing solution providers without looking at the entire ecosystem of over-the-top counter technology solutions, you've not looked at the policies that you are going to use to tax them. The world has left Nigeria far back. They've gone far. I did tell you that even we spoke about the radio station. I said it is coming to a point whereby you sit in your house, press a button, and you're talking to the world. It's that simple. So if the government want to tax over-the-top counter solution providers, you must put the right ecosystem of aggregation and parameter weighing or gauging for you to be able to tax them. Not just to tell Google, Google, you're going to be paying $1 million every. They will gladly pay you $1 million, knowing fully well you don't know what you're talking about.
Now, talking about this data, and you referenced the NIN just a while ago. Might it be that the federal government identifies some of the lapses and loopholes in its preparedness to leverage on whatever it is these businesses have to offer? Might that also be an explanation for the NIN? And does the NIN constitute the federal government getting the kind of data you say they have in places like Dubai?
First of all, there is no law backing. There is no law. It's only a policy. There must be a legislative backing that every Nigerian should have an NIN number, which is more or less our social security number. Which means, Dio, if you have 3 SIM, your 3 SIM is linked to your NIN. If you have, if you're going to transact any business with government to government, or government to citizen, or government to business, your NIN must be referenced there. It's clear. It's your social security number. It's your identity. First of all, the government need to marry the entire NIN database, marry it to the financial sector, which is the banking, marry it to the tax, which is FIRS. You have to also marry it to the security, which is then our national security architecture. All these components have to come together as one for them to effectively police or manage or tax the people.
Do you think that the federal government is on the way to doing that with the NIN and some of the other measures of data collection it is taken recently?
I totally don't think so. I totally don't think so.
What's missing?
What is missing? Let me give you an example. I bet we don't have a mechanism. We don't have a soft mechanism for collating bets in this country. It is stored in different archives across this country. So my cousin in Ghana can come to Nigeria after staying 10 years, or 2 years, and I give him a Nigerian passport, and he becomes a Nigerian. Because we don't have mechanism of birth and death. It is stored in archive, hard copies in archives. So the government needs to bring the entire ecosystem, which includes both tax, security, medical, which is medical, Medicaid, education. All the ecosystem must marry. The moment you marry everywhere, once you marry this particular ecosystem, we cannot create an OTTS aggregating platform. Not that the government cannot, it can be done. Now, I was reading something where the government put in place a team of experts or a team of ministers to discuss with some very young Google kids that were there. One of the guys that is from Google, from Twitter. One of the guys that was among the team of the Twitter guys, he is a financial wizard software developer. is well renowned. That young man can sit down in a meeting with you and crunch numbers and tell you what those numbers is going to give you in less than 2 years. How did they get to that place? How did they put this team together? They intentionally put this team together because they want to get the numbers. They want to tell the Nigerian government. I can bet you what they will tell the Nigerian government. Look, hey, we are not getting the right how do I put it now in soft terms so that our listeners can understand. We are not getting the right bandwidth or the right aggregate of business, so to say, for you to tax us. There are countries in Africa that have high usage of Twitter. If you do a demographics of all the social media platforms in Nigeria, the most widely used is Instagram and Facebook, comes Twitter, right? Now, what the government ought to do is they need to have a mechanism to understand the data and the demographics of the amount of the Nigerian, the segment of Nigeria that are using Twitter, that are using Facebook, that are using WhatsApp, that are using Netflix, for you to aggregate what you're going to be collecting from them.
But if you have those figures, if you know that Facebook and Instagram come before Twitter, as far as usage in Nigeria is concerned, it does make sense for me to assume then that the federal government has such figures as well.
I'll tell you, not that the federal government cannot have those, I'm not saying they don't have those figures, but I want to tell you what, having the figure in paper is different than having the figure in an ecosystem. Let me give you, when I say an ecosystem, a technology ecosystem that calculates and weighs data, that aggregates data. Let me give you a simple example. Do you know Booking.com? Booking.com simply does, what they simply do is they bring all the hotels around the world. You register with them. They will aggregate what Dayo is paying, what Dayo's room is going for, what Anthony's room is going for. In the same neighborhood, it is called aggregation. So Dayo, in one single platform, you can see the cost of every hotel in that area. You cannot choose which one you prefer. The moment you click pay, they get their own money. You get their own money. You get your own money. The owner of the hotel gets his own money. They are making money by simply doing aggregation.
So how is all of this data and the other technical things you just mentioned, right, especially the data collection and collation and integration, what does that have to do with my interaction and the interaction of millions of other Nigerians with the likes of Twitter, Google, Facebook, and the federal government's intentions at this time? Where's the meeting point?
Let me put this. The federal government got it all wrong. First of all, they got it all wrong. They started on the wrong footing because they've actually we have a fundamental right to communicate in whichever form we want. For them to say, "Oh, Twitter, we are stopping you because of you banned Mr. President's personal tweet," quote me, personal tweet, is wrong. However, we can leverage on that lapse. Okay, we've put a ban on Twitter. What they did was stop the DNS from the big telecom company from penetrating Nigeria. That is one way. You can actually bypass it using VPN, but there is also a danger. So what are we supposed to do? The government, since they've already stopped them, what they would have done is, you know what? For us to call you guys to come and sit on the table, we need to do our own back end feasibility. Do a feasibility of how to set up a clinical database. Nigeria needs to have what we call a massive data warehouse. A serious country by now, we should have a massive data warehouse. I can tell you that so many Nigerian institutions are warehousing their data out of the country. I don't want to mention their name. I worked with a whole lot of them. However, when we have the massive data warehouse, we can now start aggregating so many data that are coming out of Nigerians in that database. Then we clean up the data. We can use such data to follow up this comment. Like, for instance, we can tell Facebook, when we sit with them, we can tell Facebook, you have nothing less than 60 million Nigerians using you at, let me say, every 20 seconds, a Nigerian is using Facebook. This is how much you've been trading. You've been selling your product you sell in Nigeria. This is how much you made out of Nigeria. This is how much tax you ought to be paying. You have to confront them with data. They deal with data. If you cannot confront them with data, you assume when you go to that table, your entire tax frame is going to be on assumption.
Let's talk about regulation for a moment. It's been said it's possibly a very difficult thing to do, to regulate a business that number one, very likely is not registered in your country. They may not even have a physical presence in your country. How do you regulate such a business? Is it feasible? Is it logical? Is it doable?
It is feasible, it's logical, and it's doable. China is already doing that. Google is investing billions of dollars in China because China stopped them. China made it clear that, hey, majority of the data of Chinese remain in China. That got Google to build a massive data warehouse in China. Now, the problem with Google and China is the Google are exporting they are using most of the algorithms and the data that is coming out of China to trade in the US. They trade their data in the US, and there was a breach of data according to the Chinese people according to the Chinese people of their law of data transfer. Google had to sit down, and China brought their best tech gurus. They sat down and they came to a compromise. So what the country, look, it is very, very, very normal and very important that social media is regulated on a very even platform, that it doesn't breach your rights, it doesn't breach my rights, right? But on regulation, you have to put the right legislative policies or procedures or law in place that guarantees or that gives guarantee to NCC to institute what to call an OTTS system, wherefore it can do aggregation of all the social media in Nigeria.
Let's talk about legislation. I mean, you can't regulate without legislation. If there's no law, then there's no crime.
Exactly.
So,
exactly.
As far as legislation is concerned, what would be the essence of such legislation? For example, if we look at certain laws in our criminal acts, for example, we can say, okay, because we want to prevent murder, that's why we say, okay, if you kill someone, the law says you're going to be killed also. We want to prevent rape, so we say, okay, you know what? If you commit rape, this is the punishment for that as well.
Yeah.
But the finals, there are clearly spelled out what the punishments are. So that's legislation. Now, as far as legislation in this case would be concerned, what would be the end point of it, and what would be the nature of the legislation itself?
You see, the legislation is going to be one of the most detailed legislation, because those people we have there in the Senate, they might not have all the wherewithal in terms of knowledge of how these technologies work and all that. Let me just take a very simple example. Let's talk about hate speech. Hate speech. If we want to regulate hate speech, it's very easy. By the time we put the OTTS platform in place, what do? We tag all those laws. We tag the law. There's what we call tagging or bookmark. Let me use the word bookmark. You bookmark, for instance, if you go to Google right now and Google how to make a bomb, or how to make a bomb, or how to make an atomic bomb, by the time you Google it the first time, the second time, the third time, I bet you are going to get an email from Google. Yes, you are going to get an email from Google. A thorough research about you will be made. All your life in terms of your entire life, in terms of being online, will be researched and categorized. And if you keep on doing it, they will flag you. You will be flagged because that word has been bookmarked. So if we want to set a law to say, when you say, Mr. President, you are stupid, as hate speech, we are going to bookmark it. Bookmark all those words that are termed as hate speech and place it within the confine of the solution we are going to develop, such that if any Nigerian use such a word against somebody else, or against Mr. President, or against any government institution, the person is flagged and the law takes its course. You have effectively regulated hate speech using technological platforms. Now, if you want to regulate the finances, you are also going to put aggregation, which is like a barometer that says, for every 10-20 million Nigerians that are using Facebook, Facebook is going to be paying us 10 cents every 2 hours. Calculate 10 cents or $1 every 2 hours of Nigerians that are using Facebook in a year. That is going to run into millions of dollars. Free flow of fund. However, the legislation, there must be a legislation that allows the FIRS to be incorporated in the framework, bringing a part of FIRS and a part of NCC and NITDA together as forming the fulcrum, or forming the key solution developers to understand that we must marry all this thing, and you also need the NIA, the Nigerian Intelligence Agency, to be part of that meeting. It's not just politicians, no. Let me give you a simple example. In 2018, in the United Kingdom, all Commonwealth ministers of all Commonwealth ministers that are, let me say, like Minister for what's his name? I've forgotten his name right now. But I remember all ministers regulating telecommunication, technology, and communication. Okay, Pantami. People in his position were invited, and there was a thorough meeting that was done. Let us look, is it fair to regulate OTT, that is over-the-top counter technology producers like Facebook and all the rest? A thorough research was done by an independent organization. The World E2, the World Telecommunication Union, were part of that meeting, and they came out to say, look, for you to effectively tax these people, which they are not adverse to that, certain things must happen. Let me give you an example. Dayo, the moment you buy a SIM card, you've been taxed. The moment you buy an airtime, you've been taxed. The moment you buy a phone, you've been taxed. So the telecom industry and the technology industry are highly burdened with tax. So you don't rush to tax them like that. You must bring all these factors together for us to effectively tax OTTs. The federal government must agree to reduce that taxation of certain items in telecom industry. Like, for instance, each SMS you make, you pay tax on it. Each SMS you do, you are paying tax. So it has to be a win-win. You have to reduce cost of taxation in certain items and increase cost of taxation in OTTs. Then you decrease cost of taxation in OTT Echo, which is what is it called? Electronic communication or content developers. For instance, we have Netflix. Netflix is making a killing in Nigeria. Serious killing in Nigeria. Who are the benefactors? Who are the benefactors? MasterCard, InterSwitch, Visa. They are the benefactors. But the Nigerian government is already taxing these people, but they are not getting the benefit worth of taxation. They're not taxing them the appropriate way. You must tax the act of connectivity for payment, and not just, okay, the normal tax, the regular tax they used to pay. In developed countries, American, Europe, and all the rest, they've sat down and they've created a massive technology ecosystem that deals with this kind of issues, and they're making a killing out of it.
What is Hard Facts 92.3 Nigeria Info here in Port Harcourt? Dowell Mirin, IT consultant, is my guest. We're discussing the federal government's plans to tax big tech companies, especially those in the social media space. More on this conversation when we return from this commercial break. Please stay with us.
Connect with your customers. Advertise on 92.3 Nigeria Info. Visit our downtown office at Shop 9, Mediatrix of All Gracies Plaza, opposite FIRS, Stadium Road, Port Harcourt, and book your commercials. Call 0817 001 8162. That is 0817 001 8162. And let us connect you to your customers. Connect with your customers. Advertise on 92.3 Nigeria Info. Visit our downtown office at Shop 9, Mediatrix of All Gracies Plaza, opposite FIRS, Stadium Road, Port Harcourt, and book your commercials. Call 0817 001 8162. That is 0817 001 8162, and let us connect you to your customers. Connect with your customers. Advertise on 92.3 Nigeria Info. Visit our downtown office at Shop 9, Mediatrix of All Gracies Plaza, opposite FIRS, Stadium Road, Port Harcourt, and book your commercials. Call 0817 001 8162. That is 0817 001 8162. and let us connect you to your customers. Connect with your customers. Advertise on 92.3 Nigeria Info. Visit our downtown office at Shop 9, Mediatrix of All Gracies Plaza, opposite FIRS, Stadium Road, Port Harcourt, and book your commercials. Call 0817-001-8162. That is 0817-001-8162. And let us connect you to your customers. Connect with your customers. Advertise on 92.3 Nigeria Info. Visit our downtown office at Shop 9, Mediatrix of All Gracies Plaza, opposite FIRS, Stadium Road, Port Harcourt, and book your commercials. Call 0817-001-8162. That is 0817-001-8162. And let us connect you to your customers. Connect with your customers. Advertise on 92.3 Nigeria Info. Visit our downtown office at Shop 9, Mediatrix of All Gracies Plaza, opposite FIRS, Stadium Road, Port Harcourt, and book your commercials. Call 0817-001-8162. That is 0817-001-8162. And let us connect you to your customers. Connect with your customers. Advertise on 92.3 Nigeria Info. Visit our downtown office at Shop 9, Mediatrix of All Gracies Plaza, opposite FIRS, Stadium Road, Port Harcourt, and book your commercials. Call 0817-001-8162. That is 0817-001-8162. And let us connect you to your customers. Connect with your customers. Advertise on 92.3 Nigeria Info. Visit our downtown office at Shop 9, Mediatrix of All Gracies Plaza, opposite FIRS, Stadium Road, Port Harcourt, and book your commercials. Call 0817-001-8162. That is 0817-001-8162. And let us connect you to your customers. Connect with your customers.
Info, it's your turn. Let's talk.
And now, Hard Facts. Hard Facts with Dowell.
Welcome back to Hard Facts 91.3 Nigeria Info here in Port Harcourt. I'm Dowell. 25 to go before 5 p.m. Conversation does continue. Federal government ready to tax profits made by Google, Twitter. In Nigeria, says Osinbajo. I believe, of course, that also refers to other tech giants such as Facebook, Instagram, and the like. So knows maybe even Netflix as well. There's so many that are coming to this, and I imagine that there'll be many more as the days, months, and years go by. My guest once again in the studio, Dowell Mirin, is an IT expert consultant. Dowell, you're welcome once again.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Join the conversation right now. Lines are officially open: 0817-923-0002 or 0003. Also 0817-923-0007. WhatsApp is on 0809-030-6416, and we are live on facebook.com/Nigeria Info PH. Talking about regulation, Dowell, another thing you hear about ever so often in places like the UK, in the US, in Canada as well, you hear about antitrust laws. You hear about matters in court, litigation, where big tech companies are sued, taken to court because they violated antitrust laws, which have to do with actions or anti-competition or anti-competitive actions which break certain rules or regulations, and they are fined heavily. I believe these are in place to protect smaller, maybe even more indigenous tech businesses in those countries. I mean, should this be considerations, or has even this been considered at all in the country?
First of all, you have to ask a simple question. Your consumer protection agency, what are they doing? Do they have the manpower? When I say manpower, do they have the capacity, the technical and the technological capacity to understand their role in terms of regulating putting antitrust laws and frameworks and policies in place to safeguard all these processes. I'll give you a small story. We have Windows that is being produced in America. We still have Windows India. We have Office that is being produced in America. We still have Office India. Now, the Indian government understands the importance of technology and how they need to, put certain frameworks in place to catch up to the technological world. Let me tell you one simple thing, one truth today. Majority of tech companies are shipping away their services to India. Why? India has understood the business and they know they cannot do without this. Just look at do your research. Look at all the major CEOs of tech companies. They're Indians. They're Indians employed because of their expertise. So what am I trying to say? If Nigeria and the politicians really mean well for this country and they really want to gain a stand in terms of taxing these people and putting frameworks in place to get what they need to empower the Consumer Protection Agency. I had an experience with a particular service provider. I don't want to mention their name. I bought data from them and paid online. I never received my data for 3 months. I called and called, not until I went online, went to Twitter, and I called them out, mentioned, I still have those facts. I spread everything I did, all the steps, the payment, when the payment hit the account and everything. I sent it to Twitter, and so many people were commenting on their own experience before I got a top level manager in that particular company calling me apologizing after 3 months. Just imagine if just 10 million Nigerians get this treatment on a daily, how much these tech companies will be going away with. I copied Nigerian Consumer Protection. They did nothing. It was NCC. After I copied NCC on their Twitter timeline. I copied the minister on the minister timeline. Let me make you laugh. It was actually the African CEO of this particular company who was in conference. He was in a conference in Dubai. He is the one that responded to me from Dubai, saying, "Oh, I'm sorry. Is this what is happening? I will attention the right people," before I started getting called from Nigeria to attend to that matter. Do you know how many drop calls we get? And we are paying? What will NCC do? NCC, oh, okay, XYZ telecom company, give back to Nigeria, give them free data, give them free airtime. That is not the right aggregate. Because they don't have the aggregating mechanism to know how much drop calls. They cannot put a price to it. So the Nigerian Consumer Protection Agency need to be part of this particular need to protect the interests of content developers in Nigeria.
Join the conversation once again. The lines are open 0817 923 0002. That's 0817 923 0003. 0817 923 0007 as well. Facebook, remember we're live on that. It's facebook.com/Nigeria Info PH. WhatsApp is on 0809 030 6416. That's 0809 030 6416. That's for WhatsApp. Speaking of WhatsApp, via WhatsApp, but the question is, who are our leaders? How grounded are they tech-wise? Are they willing to accept their weaknesses and seek help? Or are they also scared that if all this is put in place, their sources of corrupt practices will be stopped? Now, you've itemized a lot that needs to be done, needs to be put in place, some sort of a foundation before any of this can actually really work, especially if it's to work appropriately. Because if you're going to go into any kind of discussions or negotiations with the likes of Google, Twitter, Facebook and co, you must know what you're saying.
Yeah.
And you must have that foundation, that framework. Now, from a conversation so far, we don't seem to know that. Now, does it mean then that our not knowing that or our not having that foundation now limits us and means we cannot begin to open those discussions and have that conversation with big tech companies?
We see, with the set of people the government has nominated to discuss, we are not going to get any headway. they don't have the right tools to confront these people. They don't have the right tools. They don't have the right tools. They don't understand how the technology works, how OTT's technology work.
But then again, ministers don't have to be the smartest persons in the room.
Yeah.
They can employ the services of people who know, people like yourselves, who can enter into help design some of this framework you say we need, and even enter into these discussions. Isn't that possible?
Very, very possible. The first thing, let me tell you something. You should be aware that a team.
Can you hold that thought, please? Okay. We got Deji on the line right now, calling from Elekaya. Hello, Deji. You're welcome. Go ahead, please.
Hello, Dayo. Good afternoon.
Hi. Go ahead.
Okay, I think your guest has really done justice to the subject, and one thing that is quite glaring, even when the federal government decided to engage Twitter. Look at the people on the panel. I mean, I don't see anybody with in-depth tech, competence, and we are going to engage Twitter for God's sake. A lot of companies are making a whole lot of money from this tech giant, and this tech giant still make a lot of money too. Both of them are happy because they have full understanding the depth of how they operate and the money they make. They have data, and we don't. I mean, is it Kayamo that was going that really, really get the best out of that discussion with Twitter? That's really, really what's painful about it. So the tensions are clearly not. It's just as people are saying that they just want to look for a way to gag whoever they don't like to talk and all that. Their intentions are really not what they say it is. Thank you.
Let's talk about that. Okay, I finished it. You were making a point a while ago. I'd like you to wrap that up.
No, I was done with it.
Okay, so you talked about intentions. With all that's played out thus far. Let's maybe a little before the ban on Twitter in the country, and the president ordering that discussions should commence with Twitter. Even a team supposedly has been set up to do that. The vice president talking about taxing big tech giants and all of that. Do you, from your assessment and your viewpoint, do you presume that the intentions are right? It's really with a view to the federal government and by extension Nigeria or Nigerians leveraging on the opportunities inherent in this industry.
See, the truth is that the intention. Let me be extremely clear here.
Hold on, thought, please. We got Patrick from Adedayo. Patrick, you're welcome. Go ahead.
Yeah. Good evening, Dayo.
Hi, go ahead, Patrick.
Yeah. What I want to add is you guys are eating quite an interesting conversation this afternoon. Some few days ago, I was asked about this NIN and SIM restriction stuff. What I could gather from it is this NIN, how realistic, how real is it when you talk about data management? Because you just go in there and you give them whatever you give them, that's what they take a fingerprint, and off you go. It means that any of my colleagues or so that comes into the country and goes in there and claims the Nigerian can do this NIN. So if this NIN is that porous, why do we want to use it? Why do we want to use it? It has 11 digits. I'm talking about, I think you're talking about algorithms now. The BVN has 11 characters. The NIN has 11 characters. Whatever you need, you can use the BVN to do that. But I know some people want to give out the BVN. But what I want to stress on is this. How realistic is this NIN? And how can we use that to run our database in Nigeria? Thank you.
You're welcome, Patrick. Could you respond to Patrick's question first?
See, first of all, to start with, he drew an inference, which is very correct. I did mention that any of my relatives or my friends from Ghana can just come to Nigeria and claim it's in Nigeria and get an NIN and live. But something the government ought to do, which is key, is if you want to collect data the right way. Collect data the right way. I gave you a simple example. When you fly into Dubai, they'll take your left iris, they'll snap your left iris because the left iris has a unique code. Every human being, your left iris have a unique code. They will snap both eyes, but they're concentrating on the left. They get your left, they get your thumbprint, right? Once they get your left and your thumbprint, that serves as your identity before entering that country. When you commit a crime, it doesn't take them less than 5 minutes to fish you out. They will fish you out in 5 minutes because every camera in that country are intertwined. They are linked. It will identify you anywhere you are in a twinkle of a moment. So if the government want to collect that, they want to do this NIA, they should do it properly. The BVN have always been an apostle preaching the fact that we don't need to have the Nigerian what do they call them? Those I forgot what the Nigerian identity card people. They don't need to collect more fresh data. There are cheaper way of collecting data of Nigeria. Work with the bank from the back door.
Referring to NIMSI now.
You said?
NIMSI.
Yes. Work with the banks from the back door. The bank owns a lot of data about Nigerians. A lot of data about Nigerians. Work with the bank, clean out the data the banks are giving to you, mop it up, put it into the NIMS database, and standardize it by saying, okay, this is your number. We need to get your left iris and your thumbprint. Then trickle it down to medical. What do you do in medical? When you get to the medical aspect, any child giving birth to, the moment that child is giving birth to, the blood type, the genotype, the blood type, the genotype, the DNA is immersed into that database. Your left eye is snapped, your thumbprint is taken. Or bring back that child when that child is about maybe a year old to take his thumbprint. But you calculate those data on that same day, which means from the birth of that child, we already have the characteristic, the special features and characteristics of that child. Trickle it down again, security. If that child commits a crime in Zamfara and his data that was collected in Rivers State, that child will be picked up in 5 minutes. We can at least say, oh, from analysis, from autopsy analysis or bio or police analysis on site, Mr. XYZ is the person that committed this crime, is being wanted. We can actually track and put a name and a face to that person.
We've got Augustine on the line from Onega. Augustine, you're welcome. Please go on.
Mr. Dowell, I commend your guest and his presentation. One of the problems I observe is that WTO, World Trade Organization, has issued on this social media on actions. They have not their policy in respect to that. But as one will call on sound and on corporate activities, Nigeria up to Twitter issue with an unsound mind. And for us to achieve what your guest is also saying in the studio there, there's the need for Nigeria to provide our corporate policy in respect to that aspect of companies like Twitter. If they don't, it will not be possible because Twitter itself is registered somewhere and is operating based on the provisions of that country or where it is operating from. So your guest has actually made a good presentation. But the way Nigeria is handling this issue, putting in people that have little idea of what they are doing is quite something that cannot bring any fruitful thing to the economy of Nigeria. Thank you.
Welcome, Augustine. Let's go back to the issue of intent that I asked a while ago. Not that I imagine that you're clairvoyant and know exactly what the president or his men are thinking, but from your professional perspective, what would you suggest the intentions are right now, considering that all of those parameters and the foundation you see are critical to having any fruitful conversation with the big tech giants is not existent?
The intent is wrong. It's upside down, it's wrong. Put it to the left, put it to the right, put it to the center, it's wrong. Is condemnable and not acceptable. However, we can leverage on this. See, to me, I looked at it as, God dealing with us with the right hand, telling us, hey guys, there's an opportunity here. The mistake of the president, if the president have a very sound team which I believe some of them are not, or they are not fools. Some of them are very, very intelligent. This team ought to come. What they should do first of all is to come say, hey, Nigerians, okay, due to XYZ, we ban Twitter. We are allowing them to come in. We are telling them to come back, let them do their business as normal. Then you assemble your team. You assemble your team, invite all the big tech giants, unveil this particular OTTS solution aggregation platform to them, that this is the policy direction of this country at this time. By that time, you now have your data to confirm them. Let me tell you something. You will be so shocked that I'll tell you one story. Very brief story. I was in New York, and I lost my passport on the ground in the subway and all that, and I had to get another passport and that. So when they took me to the police station downstairs, the guy said, "Look, it's above his pay grade. He has to call a senior officer." The senior officer was actually an FBI officer, a lady. The lady asked me, "What's your name?" And I said, I mentioned my name. I was looking at what she was doing. She has a back door to Facebook, and she went to Facebook, clicked my name. A back door is different from the normal Facebook you're saying. Went on the back door and brought out my history. Everything I've been doing online. And I was looking at the woman, and she looked at me and said, "Are you an IT person?" I said, "Yes." Now, you need to know if you know the amount of data that Facebook have on Nigerians, and our police, our security people does not have a back door to it. You need to know the amount of data Google have about Nigerian businesses, and our CSC, security, and government does not have a back door to it. You should remember the case whereby a particular in US where a particular crime took place. It's a murder crime, and a particular iPhone was seen in the site of that particular crime scene. For weeks, the FBI is telling iPhone, give us a back door to access this phone so that we can actually get the real owner of this phone. It was a big antitrust problem between both. They went to court. But why they were going to court, let me tell you the beauty about these democracies. Why they were going to court, what the FBI simply did was, okay, you know what? This particular place is now a national security matter, which erodes the right of Apple. And on their own, they uncoded the phone and they got the suspect. The suspect was arrested in Egypt because it's one of these terrorist issues. What I'm trying to say in essence is this. The intent of the government must be clear. And if it is going to be clear, you must assemble the right team. First of all, the intention to ban Twitter is wrong. Now, use the advantage of what they've done to undo it and put it in the right perspective that will be beneficial to this country.
On that note, we do have to wrap up the conversation right now. We have discussed in the last maybe almost an hour subject matter of the federal government planning to regulate and especially tax big tech companies. How feasible is that considering existing or maybe more non-existent platforms in the country is what we discussed with my guest in the studio, Dowell Mirin, IT expert consultant. Dowell, many thanks for your time.
Yeah, thank you very much, Dayo.
I hope they reach out to you sometime to help with developing some of these platforms. We got the news update coming out for the hour at 5 p.m. When I return, discussions continue. The governor Ganduje has withdrawn his Gandola suit in court. More on that when I return. Please stay with us.